It all starts at HT Academy, a place that's supposed to be all about hitting the books, but in reality, it runs like a completely cutthroat mini-society. Inside those walls, things are basically a carbon copy of the real world, packed with unwritten rules, exclusive cliques, and a hardcore food chain. Since human beings have this desperate need to belong to something, the hustle for clout in these hallways is pretty much unavoidable, especially when you're a teen. That urge to fit in and get validated by the squad hits way harder. For a lot of kids, joining a clique is the cheat code for that, but our MC Anran just wants to mind his own business and study in peace. Because of his whole lone wolf vibe, everyone else pretty much treats him like a total outcast. Worse still, keeping to himself actually put a target on his back with the bullies who think they own the school. That classic messed up high school bullying trope became the everyday reality for our guy. Keeping his head down in the hallway, he just tries to get through his routine without catching anyone's attention. But his peace check bounces when a soda can gets chucked right at his face, splashing all over his uniform. One of the top bullies pretends it was a total accident, hitting him with a fake, mocking apology and asking if he's all right. Annoyed that Anran didn't even flinch, the bully mutters that he was hoping to see the kid squeal and freak out from the hit. Before walking off, the jerk drops a threat, telling him to meet up at their usual spot during gym class. While some girls giggle at the whole mess in the background, Anran thinks to himself that he'd love to fight back, but knows his skinny frame would get wrecked in an actual brawl. He tries to cope by telling himself he's just a random target in the crowd, and that these punks wouldn't actually cross the line on school grounds. He's only got 2 years left until graduation, and he plans to just tough it out so he can ditch these losers forever. Later on, the scene shifts to the school locker room, the infamous meetup spot, and Rand's glasses hit the floor, a clear sign that things are already going south. He catches a heavy slap to the face that whips his head to the side, making him swallow his pride yet again. Dragging on a cigarette, the head bully watches his goons hold the MC down and laughs, bragging that he's lost count of how many hits they've landed. The jerk whines that his own hand is cramping from throwing so many punches, but gets ticked off because Anran isn't making a sound. Seeing Anran on his knees looking at the floor, he mocks the kid's stubbornness for not letting out a single groan. Suddenly, a foot shoots up, aimed straight at the MC. The bully delivers a brutal kick, launching the kid's body crashing into the metal lockers. The impact knocks the wind out of Anran, making him spit up and finally let out a grunt of pain. Loving the sound, the leader steps up, celebrating that he finally squeezed a reaction out of him. He casually mentions that, back when the semester started, he actually wanted to be bros because he knew Anran's dad was the CEO of some massive corporation. The bully's master plan was to piggyback off the fact that their families, businesses were already working together. Yanking the MC's hair aggressively, he brings up the time he invited him to hang out at his family's private club. Back then, Anran completely shut him down, bluntly saying he had to go home to study and didn't have time for that kind of stuff. Now, holding a massive grudge over the rejection, the leader tells him to open wide, claiming they have plenty of time to play today. He pushes his luck, getting right in his face and asking in a super threatening tone if they aren't totally besties now. Trying to mentally survive the humiliation, Anran just keeps repeating in his head that he only has to endure this nightmare for 2 more years. The bully presses him, asking if he's going to go cry to the teacher about it again. Dripping with arrogance, he brags that his dad is on the school board, meaning not even the principal can touch him, and demands that Anran bow to him whenever they cross paths. To wrap up his power trip, he orders the kid to stay kneeling on the floor. The squad strolls out chatting like nothing happened, leaving the beaten student abandoned in the locker room. Slumped on the cold tiles, Anran thinks about how the teacher's turning a blind eye isn't even the worst part of this mess. What really shatters him is the ice, cold indifference from his own family. His eyes look totally hollow, showing the heavy burden of a kid who doesn't even have a safe space at home. In a flashback, his dad is yelling at him, telling him to suck it up and demanding he fight back against anyone who messes with him, no matter the consequences. During that same argument, the old man turned his back and straight up banned him from ever bringing up the idea of transferring schools. Snapping back to the present, late afternoon hits and a driver lets him know his dad is actually coming home for dinner tonight. The driver waits by the car in the courtyard, getting confused when he doesn't get a reply and calling out to him again. Anran shuffles out looking totally defeated, clothes wrecked and face bruised from the trash day he just survived. The driver tries to do him a solid, offering some spare glasses from the car and warning him that his old man is gonna flip if he sees him looking like that. Without saying a word, the kid totally ignores the heads up and just bolts out the gate, leaving the poor driver scratching his head. Out on the street, The top bully is chilling on a heavy-duty sport bike and spots his favorite punching bag making a run for it. Without missing a beat, he revs the massive engine and speeds off to hunt the student down. With the dark visor hiding his face, the whole chase gives off a seriously creepy horror movie vibe. Fast footsteps slap against the pavement as the MC pushes his legs as hard as they can possibly go. Trying to lose his stalker, he ducks into a narrow alley, thinking about how his driver was practically begging not to get fired by his dad. Out of breath and running on fumes, Anran wonders why his dad turned into such a cold, distant guy after his mom left. Hiding in the shadows, he seriously doubts that sticking him in a school full of spoiled, toxic rich kids is actually meant to toughen him up. Ready to test his dad's limits, he decides that running away from home is the only way to find out if the old man even cares anymore. With that wild plan locked in, he walks down the alley trying to figure out a safe spot to crash for the night. But his lucky streak flatlines when he turns the corner and gets blinded by a glaring headlight at the end of the street. The biker parks the motorcycle and casually takes off his helmet. The student goes into full panic mode when he recognizes the guy, knowing things are about to get incredibly ugly. Showing his face, the bully flashes a toxic smirk and asks if his classmate needs a ride. Without a second thought, Anran pulls a U-turn and sprints the other way like his life depends on it. He scrambles through the alleys, desperate to put as much distance as possible between him and the psycho on wheels. Pure panic sets in because he knows that if the bully held back at school, out here on the streets, all bets are off. Looking ahead, he spots a guardrail and feels a split second of hope, seeing an escape route. In his head, all he has to do is vault that barrier, and the bike won't be able to follow him. With a quick leap, he manages to clear the metal fence and drop to the other side. A wave of relief washes over his face, totally convinced he just outplayed the guy. But plot twist, the ground on the other side is a super steep, muddy drop-off, making him instantly lose his footing. Unable to catch himself, he tumbles down the hill, rolling through the weeds completely out of control. His backpack smacks the dirt first, kicking up a massive cloud of dust from the rough landing. Then, the MC's body hits the hard asphalt of the lower street, leaving him sprawled out and in serious pain. Using every ounce of willpower, he tries to push himself up on his hands, feeling exactly how bad that fall really was. The sound of chill footsteps gets closer, and the bully's voice echoes again, asking what the big rush is. The jerk stops right in front of him, acting all fake hurt, and saying he was just trying to be a nice guy and offer a lift. Pressing his shoe right onto the downed student's head, he brings up his old warning: things get bad when people don't show him proper respect. Squatting down casually, the bully mocks him, saying he still needs to figure out a fitting punishment. He jokes that they haven't even taken a selfie together to remember this sweet moment. Pushing his foot down harder on the kid's head, he drops a completely messed up order, telling him to get up and strip out of all his clothes right there on the street. With his face mashed into the pavement, Anran thinks about the absolute nightmare of that video getting leaked to the whole school. He keeps telling himself he just needs to survive this for 2 more years. But the kid finally hits his breaking point, letting out a desperate scream and refusing to do it. Fueled by pure adrenaline, he uses whatever strength he has left to shove the bully's leg away and get out of that humiliating spot. Caught totally off guard by the pushback, the bully loses his balance and lands flat on his butt on the asphalt. Taking the opening, the MC finally scrambles to his feet, breathing heavy and glaring at the guy ruining his life. Looking super salty about the kid talking back, the gang leader mutters some trash talk while getting over the shock. As he stands back up, he accuses the student of faking his tough guy act, claiming he's actually just a massive coward deep down. With his hands shaking from the adrenaline, Anran grabs a rock from the ground to hype himself up, thinking that even if he can't fight, the other guy is just a high schooler too. Sizing up the 1v1, he realizes the bully doesn't have his backup crew here and figures he actually has a shot since he's armed. The kid talks himself into believing he has the upper hand, seeing as the bully is empty-handed against the rock he's clutching. Seeing the MC actually square up, the bully grins like a maniac. He sarcastically claps for the effort, saying things just got spicy now that he's actually trying to fight back. Cocky as ever, he questions the kid's guts and literally dares him to smash that rock right into his face. Running on a mix of terror and pure rage, Anran grits his teeth, ready to dump months of pent-up frustration into one single hit. Without overthinking it, he charges full speed at the bully, determined to end this nightmare right here, right now. He swings with everything he has, aiming right for the jerk's head, channeling every ounce of anger he's been swallowing. But the gang leader doesn't even blink, casually pointing out that the swing was way too slow to actually do anything. Moving crazy fast, the bully effortlessly dodges the rock and delivers a brutal knee straight to the kid's stomach. The hit knocks all the oxygen out of the MC, his face twisting in blinding pain as his legs give out. His vision goes blurry, and the shock of the counterattack makes the whole world spin for a second. Unable to stay upright, the student gets blasted backward, crashing heavily into the dirt. A bird's eye view shows the harsh reality of the fight, the MC laying there totally paralyzed while the bully just stands over him. Strolling calmly up to the wrecked kid, the bully drops the lore that he actually trains at the school's fight club. He flexes that even 10 guys like Anren wouldn't stand a chance. Feeling totally helpless, the student instantly regrets not knowing the guy had actual stats, realizing all his hiding was for nothing. Shutting his eyes in despair, he just accepts his bad ending, figuring if he's gonna get taken out right here, so be it. The gang leader reminds him they're in the middle of nowhere with 0 cameras, meaning he can do whatever he wants and nobody will ever find out. To double down on the horror, he raises his foot again, clearly planning to do some permanent damage to the kid on the ground. Right then, the deafening roar of a heavy engine blasts through the street, pulling their attention to the top of the hill. The bully freezes mid-stomp, turning his head to see who's crashing the party. His face drops into pure shock when he sees how ridiculously fast the vehicle is zooming right at him. Before he can even flinch, a mystery biker launches off the moving motorcycle and lands a devastating flying kick right to his face. The newcomer sticks the landing on the pavement like an absolute boss, hyping up his own kick, while completely ignoring his bike wiping out in the background. Sent flying by the massive hit, the gang leader tries to push himself up, totally lost on what just hit him. Sporting a fresh bruise, he screams his lungs out, demanding to know what random extra just ruined his fun. Refusing to take the L, he hops up fast and gets ready to throw hands with the new guy. Slipping into a legit fighting stance, the bully checks out his opponent and realizes a kick like that only comes from someone who actually knows how to throw down. Locked in on the fight, he decides not to sleep on the new challenger and gets ready to go all out. But out of nowhere, the mystery fighter does a crazy high jump, leaving the bully totally baffled, wondering if a normal human can even get that kind of air. Noticing the guy is stuck mid-air with 0 footing, the gang leader spots an opening and throws a heavy punch. With insane reflexes, the savior easily deflects the bully's arm and literally uses the guy's shoulders as a stepping stone. Using the momentum, he locks his feet right around the bully's neck, shutting down his movement completely. With a violent spin, the biker drops all his weight, slamming the enemy face first into the concrete. Landing perfectly, the kid loudly praises his own combo, super proud of the crazy move he just pulled off. Without wasting time gloating, he firmly grabs the injured student's arm, tossing the kid over his shoulders like he weighs nothing. The savior books it down the street before things get worse. Flat on his back, the bully groans trying to get up, complaining about getting absolutely wrecked out of nowhere. With his ego crushed and his face busted, he glares into the dark where they vanished and swears the student is going to pay a heavy price at school tomorrow. Far away from the drama, the chaotic chase fades into the dead silence of an abandoned industrial zone under a pitch black night sky. Hidden in the shadows of a warehouse, Anran finally catches his breath and stammers, asking who the guy is and why he even helped him. Chilling against the wall, the biker casually says it was just pure luck. He explains he saw the kid's fancy uniform and figured he must be loaded. Scratching his head like it's no big deal, he hints that a little cash reward would be totally fair for saving his skin. But mid-sentence, the mystery kid leans in a bit closer, noticing something weirdly familiar about the terrified rich kid's face. Anran stays quiet, still buffering from the whole crazy night and not getting why his savior suddenly changed his vibe. Eyes wide open, the street fighter is absolutely stunned to realize the rich kid's face is basically a carbon copy of his own. The story cuts away to drop some lore about the setting, showing off the massive metropolis known for being one of the wealthiest and most high-tech areas in the country. But right in the shadow of all that cash, there's a zone completely ghosted by the government. A district so rundown it's basically known as the city's official dumping ground. With 0 infrastructure and no cops in sight, the streets here became the ultimate playground for criminals, where gangs run the whole show. Despite the total chaos, locals started whispering about an urban legend, a teen vigilant who steps up for the weak and can wipe out dozens of thugs all by himself. This kid's hype got so huge they started calling him Mad Dog, famous for never dropping a target once he locks in on a fight. Back in the gritty reality of the district, the chatter about the local legend keeps going near a dark alley, where 2 stray cats are throwing down over some scraps. The beef between the cats pretty much matches the toxic vibe of the whole area, proving even the smallest guys have to scrap just to stay alive. Outside a super rusty mechanic shop, an overly hyped kid admits he traveled all the way there just to sign up as the famous Vigilante's official sidekick. He tries to get the shop owner's attention, but the old guy looks way too dialed into his work to care about gang gossip. Wrapping up the fix on the bike, the mechanic casually drops the repair bill, looking completely unbothered by the customer's fanboy rambling. The kid freaks out over the insane price and starts complaining that it was just a simple tire patch, accusing the old man of trying to scam him. With a totally chill expression, the shop owner just nods and agrees to drop the price, not even trying to argue back. Thinking he just won the debate, the punk gets loud and calls the shop a total scam, saying they just make up prices depending on who walks in. Right then, the garage door swings open and a massive, heavily tattooed dude steps inside, politely asking the mechanic to take a look at his ride. The terrifying giant gives the loudmouth kid a super confused look, basically wondering why this pip squeak is making so much noise. All of the kid's fake confidence evaporates instantly, replaced by a cold sweat as he realizes how badly he just messed up. Totally shook, he slaps the cash down for the repair and pushes his bike out of there as fast as physically possible. With the annoying kid gone, the giant asks where to park his bike and casually mentions, "It's weird seeing the mechanic working solo today." The old man tips his hat down and smirks, saying his boy clocked out early because he wanted to go hustle for some extra cash. While they chat in the shop, a motorcycle's headlights flick on somewhere else in the city, kicking off a brand new wave of chaos in the district streets. As night falls, the local legend known as Mad Dog is zooming through the streets with an entire biker gang hot on his trail. The gang leader is losing his mind, complaining that they can't even catch this kid on electric bikes. The chase goes completely wild through the district's tight alleys, with dozens of goons riding the fugitive's bumper. But the young vigilante just keeps sprinting at top speed, flexing some absolutely insane stamina. He even throws a cocky smirk, totally feeling like he's got the whole situation in the bag. Using his lead, the MC sprints up a massive set of stairs at the end of the block. This forces the gang leader to slam on the brakes at the bottom, completely blocked by the concrete steps. The boss of the thugs glares up the stairs looking absolutely sick to his stomach. From the top, the kid makes a goofy face to troll the haters stuck at the bottom. He straight up taunts them, daring the whole squad of losers to try and catch him now. Standing his ground like a boss, the vigilant watches the crew lose their minds down below. Mauling over the disrespect, the leader screams at his guys to ditch the bikes and run up to grab the kid no matter what. Seeing them move, the kid takes a confident step forward, ready for whatever happens next. The entire gang stampedes up the stairs, fanning out across a massive dirt lot. Casually turning his back to them, Mad Dog mentions he led them there on purpose and asks if they want to know the big secret. Flashing a cocky grin, he points out that without their bikes, none of them will be able to run away once he starts throwing hands. The gang leader, practically foaming at the mouth, yells at the kid for having the nerve to demand protection money in their zone while calling himself the big, bad Mad Dog. Ready to end the myth, the boss orders his guys to rush him and see if the punk is actually built different. Unfazed, the vigilante jokes that 20-something guys barely even count as a warm-up. With that, he charges straight into the mob, screaming at the top of his lungs. The clash gets brutal immediately, with our guy diving headfirst into the front line. Showing off crazy movement mechanics, he dodges their swings while weaving through the crowd. Catching a quick opening, he drops the first thug with a perfectly placed punch. A split second later, he throws a devastating high kick that connects right with the leader's face. Hyped up on adrenaline, the kid tells the thugs he's way tougher than the rumors even say. It doesn't take long for the whole crew to end up scattered in the dirt, groaning and holding their bruises. The boss himself is literally crawling on the ground, completely humbled in the dust. The winner's sneaker stops right next to the fallen leader's head, getting his attention real quick. Casually brushing the dirt off his hands, the vigilant roasts them for skipping cardio, mocking how they ever thought they could run this turf. Terrified, the boss hears the kid ask what his new title should be, and immediately swallows his pride to call him boss. Flexing his new authority, the kid says all that cardio made him thirsty and tells the leader to buy him a drink as an apology. Still eating dirt, the bruised thug offers up a measly $10 to try and squash the beef. The vigilant breaks into a huge smile and does the math, demanding $200 so he can buy a bottle for all 24 of the guys he just beat up. Right after, the camera pans to the kid's hand holding his hard-earned bottle of milk. Strolling alone in the evening, he sips his drink, thinking about how making that easy money felt amazing. But a tiny rustling noise from the bushes suddenly grabs his attention. Hiding in the tall grass, a tiny stray puppy pops out, whining super softly. Without thinking twice, the kid pours some of the milk right into his own hand. The little dog stares at the white liquid, super curious. Crouched on the dirt road, the tough vigilante feeds the little guy with the most wholesome patience ever. A bit further down, a busted up sign marks the edge of the notorious district. The kid keeps walking solo, heading straight for the exit of that forgotten wasteland. Locked in, he focuses on his master plan to save up enough cash to escape this hellhole and get his old man's leg fixed in the big city. But his chill walk gets completely derailed when he gets a massive jump scare on the road. Out of nowhere, some guy wearing a fancy prep school uniform trips and face plants right in front of him. Thinking he just stumbled on another lost rich kid to shake down, the vigilante celebrates hitting the jackpot. A sketchy grin spreads across his face as he gets ready to do his thing. But his smile instantly drops into dead silence when he gets a good look at his target. Squatting next to Anron, the biker is totally mind blown to see that the wrecked student is a literal clone of him. Covered in bruises, the rich kid pinches his own cheeks, whining in pain, just to make sure he isn't hallucinating. The vigilante takes a step back, totally creeped out, thinking this glitch in the Matrix is way too crazy to be real. Still on the ground, the student looks up, his face showing all the damage from his horrible day. Completely lost, Mad Dog aggressively scratches his head, trying to process what the heck is happening. Ran is just as frozen, his brain buffering over the insane resemblance. The two of them just stare at each other in awkward silence, having zero idea how to react. Until the student finally breaks the ice, asking in total awe if it's actually possible that the vigilante is his long-lost brother. That word hits the biker like a truck, making his brain short-circuit even more. Right then, an old memory flashes in his head. The day the mechanic dropped the bomb that he wasn't his biological dad. In the flashback, the old man told him he could go look for his real family once he was grown up. But until then, leaving the district was strictly off limits. But little Mad Dog just smiled back then, saying the guy who raised him was his real dad, and he didn't care about the rest. Shutting the idea down instantly, the biker turns his back and tells the rich kid he definitely got the wrong guy. Desperate, Anran spills the lore that he actually had a twin brother who supposedly didn't make it after a hospital fire, right after they were born. He explains the whole place burned to the ground, so there was never any real proof of what actually happened. Hyped about the plot twist, the student says their exact same age and identical faces are all the proof they need, celebrating that their mom can finally get some closure. But the vigilante just glances over his shoulder, firing back that even if they share DNA, he's already got his own life right here. Cutting to the chase, he tells the prep kid to go home and act like this crossover episode never happened. Looking dead serious, the street kid insists he's doing just fine and doesn't want anyone messing up his vibe. Looking down, the beaten up rich kid thinks in silence while a little blood drips from his lip. The image of his toxic dad invades his thoughts, reminding him of the suffocating pressure he deals with every single day. Then, he thinks about his mom, stuck in a wheelchair and completely isolated from the rest of the family. Making a crazy choice, Anran declares that it's honestly better if he just never goes back to that nightmare of a house. The biker stops walking and looks back, asking what the heck the rich kid is mumbling about now. Holding out his phone, the student mentions that his doppelganger likes money, and asks if it's true he can actually take down 100 guys in a fight. Holding the screen up, he shows a pending transfer of $1 million and drops the ultimate quest. He'll hand over the bag if the vigilante goes to his school, and takes out the bullies for him. The $1 million offer literally screens Mad Dog's brain as he tries to process the insane side quest he just got handed. Mad Dog goes into absolute overdrive seeing that ridiculous number, snatching Anran's phone in awe and wondering if that's seriously just the kid's allowance. He literally counts every zero on the glowing screen, whispering like a maniac as he reads from the tens to the hundreds, all the way to the millions. Shaking with hype, the street fighter grabs the student's hands tight and asks with sparkly eyes if this mega payout is actually legit. Swearing he's a guy who keeps his promises, the rich kid says if he doesn't believe it, he can wire $100,000 right now as a deposit for the gig. Buzzing over the easy money, Jin admits that getting handed $1 million out of nowhere sounds exactly like a scam. But since the job will only take like 2 or 3 days, a little upfront cash works for him. But the student ruins the vibe real quick, saying the payout is definitely $1 million. But there's zero chance the vigilante finishes the job that fast. Guessing it'll take 3 months minimum. Dropping the real lore, Anran explains that the academy is an absolute war zone run by toxic rich kids with insane connections that reach way past the school gates. He warns him that making one wrong move against these elites could end in a total game over. The student makes it crystal clear that the biker's own life could be in serious danger if he treats this like a joke. Instead of getting spooked, the vigilante just lets out a loud, totally unhinged laugh. Even after admitting he barely understood half the preppy jargon, he swears that if the money clears, There isn't a ghost or bully alive he can't put in the dirt. Brimming with ego, he promises to mop the floor with everyone until they rage, quit, completely ignoring how much clout they have. The student drops his one rule. The stand-in can't catch a single suspension or expulsion during all the brawling, since avoiding getting caught is part of the challenge. Cooler than ever, the clone thumps his chest and tells his new boss to chill, bragging that growing up in the junkyard taught him how to survive using way more than just his fists. Bursting with confidence, he officially introduces himself as Jin Yan's Song. Breathing a sigh of relief now that he finally has an out, the student straightens up and introduces himself too. He drops his name simply, locking in the start of this wild duo. The two bump fists in the dark warehouse, with Jin officially accepting the mission to go to that dumpster fire of a school in the rich kid's place. Suddenly, the vigilante's eyes go wide as he remembers a massive detail he completely blanked on. He remembers the hardcore rule his old man gave him. He's banned from taking a single step outside the district before he turns 20. Panicking over his own 0 IQ moment, he grabs his head, freaking out that he forgot the number 1 rule, leaving the student totally confused. Having a galaxy brain idea, Jin grabs Anran by the shoulders and says the rich kid is gonna have to do him a massive solid to make this work. Super hyped, he declares that starting right now, they are doing a total Freaky Friday identity swap. Explaining his master plan, he says that while he's cracking skulls at the academy, Enran has to pretend to be him and live right there in the slums. A massive wave of anxiety hits the prep kid as he processes the absolute madness he just agreed to. The brutal rumors and sketchy vibe of the district start heavily weighing on the kid who's used to mansions and room service. He knows perfectly well that this zone is pure chaos filled with all the sketchy stuff he's avoided his whole life. But the vigilante just throws an arm around him like they're besties, swearing that nobody will have the guts to mess with the local legend, sealing the deal. Hesitant, the student tries to argue about how risky it is to stay there. Out of nowhere, a sharp spike of pain makes Anran's eyes roll back as he barely keeps himself from collapsing. The kid crumbles to the dirt, completely out of HP, leaving Jin freaking out over his new boss dropping like a fly. Crouching next to him, the vigilante asks what the heck just went wrong. The ripped uniform pants reveal a nasty, swollen injury on his leg, a souvenir from the beatdown he took earlier. Doing a quick vibe check on the damage, Jin figures it isn't completely broken, and that a month or 2 of hardcore bed rest will fix it up. He actually cheers, saying the injury is a massive W because the rich kid can just hide in bed recovering, meaning the old mechanic won't even suspect a thing. Annoyed by the throbbing pain, Anran suggests they should just go straight to the ER to find a real doctor. Ignoring the rich kid's dramatic complaining, Jin tosses him on his back and says they're hitting the city first to take care of some business. A little time jump happens and the camera cuts to the massive, super fancy front gates of the elite academy in broad daylight. Strutting with absolute confidence and rocking a spotless school uniform, the fake Anran walks through the main entrance pulling all the aggro. The other students instantly part like the Red Sea, dodging him like he's a walking biohazard. Adjusting his new glasses, the vigilante smirks, totally geeking out over how premium the whole school looks. In his head, the entire campus is just glowing with dollar signs dropping from the sky, seeing every corner as a farming spot for his millions. But his daydream gets perfectly cut off when a rogue soccer ball violently snipes him right in the head. A squad of toxic prep kids stumps over looking for trouble, and their leader sarcastically asks what the fake Anran is waiting for. Acting super entitled, the bully barks at the kid to pass the ball back right now. The vigilante just catches the ball and casually tosses it up and down, while the leader aggressively mocks him, asking if he was some ranked player in a club or something. Flashing an evil grin, the bully points at the fake Anran and orders one of his minions to kick the ball full power straight at his face. The goon doesn't even hesitate, sprinting across the turf to charge up a massive shot. The ball rockets through the air like a missile, aimed right at our MC's head. Without even flinching, he tracks the incoming projectile with his side eye. The hit lands with a loud smack, blasting him right on the side of his face. The sheer force of the headshot snaps his neck back, sending the glasses flying from the impact. Losing his balance, he collapses onto the grass, scrambling to catch himself with his hands. The fake student rolls awkwardly across the school courtyard after taking the cheap shot. Watching the whole thing, the squad leader holds another ball, laughing like an absolute villain. He yells with pure disgust, telling the loser to get out of their sight right now. As the kid slowly gets up, one of the gang members starts stuttering in panic, trying to get the boss's attention. Dropping the goofy act, Jin locks in with a deadly glare, processing the super toxic welcome he just got. Annoyed by his minion freaking out, the leader shoves the scared lackey aside and tells him to shut up. Putting his glasses back on, the vigilante zeroes in on the group, mentally confirming this was the exact same clown who bullied Anrin yesterday, meaning he just found his first boss fight, flipping the switch back to coward mode. The Vigilant pretends to be terrified, rushing over to apologize with a shaky voice, and asking if the bully hurt his foot on the kick. The head bully looks at his totally submissive act with pure disgust, completely falling for the bait. Around the field, all the other kids instantly whip out their phones to record the humiliation, whispering that a top-tier show is about to drop. Gritting his teeth with a nasty grin, the bully decides he isn't done messing with him yet. He tells the kid to meet him on the roof during lunch break, dropping a heavy threat that he is in massive trouble now. As soon as the squad turns around, the fake student fixes his glasses with an absolutely sinister smirk, mentally declaring that hunting season is officially open. Far from the prep school, the sunset hits the rundown skyline of the abandoned district where Jin used to live. Sitting outside the rusty garage, the kid's adoptive dad hears a random question about what he would do if he suddenly became a millionaire. The old mechanic replies super casually that he doesn't need a single thing, while staring right at the kid's ridiculously expensive sneakers. He stays quiet, definitely picking up that something is way off about his kid's behavior, and new drip, trying desperately not to act sus. The real Anrin is sitting there wearing the street kid's ratty clothes, sweating bullets under the old man's radar. His busted ankle is tucked inside a heavy boot, throbbing with pain and making it super hard to keep up the act. But instead of interrogating him, the sweet old man just chuckles, thanking the heavens if it means the kid is finally done getting into street fights. A wholesome memory hits the old guy, flashing back to when he used to chase the tiny Vigilant through those same dirty alleys. Cutting back to the rich side of town, the massive university building stands tall, waiting for the absolute chaos the fake student is about to unleash. Picking up the pace, the fake student's speed runs up the school stairs straight to the roof. He hypes himself up, thinking that the second he secures that 1 million bag, he's definitely fixing old man Jin's leg for good. With his eyes on the prize, the vigilante grabs the door handle, whispering that the payday is about to begin. But the second he steps outside, he drops the swagger and slaps on his classic terrified rich kid face. He steps onto the roof and finds the 3 bullies waiting for him in a far corner. Leaning against the wall, the group leader demands to know which of his goons actually kicked the target twice yesterday. Faking his panic, the fake Anran tries to play the "can't we all just get along" card since they're classmates. The bully literally laughs in his face, saying school would be a total snooze fest if they couldn't amuse themselves by tormenting him. Boxing the victim into the wide, open roof, he sarcastically asks if the prep kid is shaking in his boots or if he's planning to snitch to the teachers. Overflowing with ego, the punk points out there are 0 security cameras up there, they're to catch them. Upon hearing that, the vigilante drops the act instantly, getting genuinely excited about the lack of surveillance. The bully's tough guy glare falters a bit, totally thrown off by the kids smiling instead of crying. Wasting 0 time, the fake student smoothly pulls a badminton racket right out of his blazer. Confused out of his mind by the random sports gear, the bully asks what the heck the loser thinks he's gonna do with that. Adjusting his glasses like an anime villain, Jin explains his punches are way too heavy, so the racket lets him play with them a lot longer without causing permanent brain damage. Furious at the disrespect, the gang leader snaps, asking if the kid grew an ego just because someone bailed him out yesterday. Losing his mind, he orders both of his goons to jump the kid at the same time. Exploding forward, the vigilante speed blitzes the enemies before their brains can even register he moved. Using all that momentum, he delivers a nasty, crisp swing with the racket right into the first guy. The squad leader watches in horror, realizing the script just got entirely flipped. The blonde lackey's face is literally branded with the racket's string pattern after eating the shot. Both minions stumble back screaming, holding their faces in agony while the fake student just stands there in battle stance. The head bully goes completely mute, a cold sweat dropping as he watches his backup get one-shotted. Blinded by pure rage, he charges in throwing a haymaker, cursing the kid for having the audacity to fight back. Effortlessly, Jin sidesteps the punch, letting the angry bully whiff completely and fly right past him. Moving like water, the vigilante wins up the racket, charging a frame, perfect counterattack. Giving him 0 time to block, he smacks the leader square in the face with sniper precision. A bright red welt instantly blooms on the bully's cheek from the brutal swing. A millisecond later, a backhand swing tags the complete opposite side of the bully's face. Hitting his flow state, the fake student unloads an absolutely relentless combo, punishing the gang boss with 0 mercy. The 2 minions watch from the sidelines, practically wetting themselves, screaming for their boss but too terrified to jump in. Completely ignoring the peanut gallery, the MC keeps handing out his racket, Powered Justice. To finish the combo, he charges up and launches himself into the air. The vigilante connects a devastating flying kick that sends the bully flying backward. The boss crashes heavily onto the concrete roof, finally understanding he messed with the ultimate final boss. Trying to push up on his knees, the punk is shivering from head to toe, completely paralyzed by fear. A terrifying, menacing aura of a giant wild dog manifests right behind the fake student, radiating pure nightmare fuel. Absolutely traumatized by the vibe, the gang leader scurries backward, scraping against the asphalt. Staying in character, Jin drops the fake lore that he was actually a martial arts god all along, but swore to his family he wouldn't fight, which is why he hit his power level. Turning his back to the loser, he adds that the constant bullying just pushed him past his limit, and he couldn't hold back anymore. The vigilante glances over his shoulder, warning the bully to stay out of his lane, or next time he won't use the racket. He'll use his bare hands. Just to maximize the psychological damage, he makes up a story that he almost ended a guy with his bare hands in the past, which is why he was nerfing himself. Curled up on the ground, the gang leader panics, genuinely wondering if that insane backstory is actually legit. The bully's vision starts going dark as he mumbles about feeling super dizzy. Unable to tank the damage, the boss completely passes out, and his minions finally rush over in a panic to check his pulse. Super satisfied with a job well done, the MC casually strolls off the roof and shuts the door behind him. Walking down the hall, he high-fives himself mentally, totally convinced that his fake anime backstory is gonna keep those scrubs terrified forever. A little while later, the scene shifts to the academy's fancy infirmary. The gang leader finally reboots, lying on a medical bed with band-aids taped all over his face. He tries to shift his weight, but lets out a pathetic groan, complaining that his whole body feels like it got run over by a truck. The embarrassment quickly morphs into boiling rage, as he replays the absolute clown show he just went through. With his two minions standing in the corner, doing a punishment pose, with their arms raised, he snaps at them to call the rest of the squad and get out of there. But a totally chill, random voice interrupts the mood, asking if the kid is seriously planning to go outside and embarrass himself again. The battered bully instantly breaks into a cold sweat, immediately recognizing the guy talking. Chilling on the windowsill, a purple-haired student sighs about how the first-year street cred is completely in the gutter, roasting them for not being able to manage their own classmates. Relaxing in a medical chair, this mystery guy admits that seeing his underlings get clapped by an absolute nobody is honestly disgusting. While the goons keep shaking in their punishment pose, the Dechi, actual boss of this clique, says he needs to figure out how to penalize them for this massive L. Panicking, the injured bully begs for one more shot, swearing on his life he'll fix the glitch and take the kid down. The purple-haired student just holds his hand out, kindly suggesting that a patient should probably just focus on resting. Flashing a totally unhinged look, he orders the kid to cover his own mouth, warning him that if he makes even a squeak, the punishment will be 10 times worse. Completely submissive, the injured punk clamps his hands over his mouth, absolutely terrified of what's about to happen. Without a shred of hesitation, the leader grabs the bully's hand and cranks his fingers backward until they practically snap. The gang leader's eyes bulge out and he sweats bullets, using literal superhuman willpower not to scream, while tanking the blinding pain of his fingers almost breaking. Letting go, the purple-haired psycho calmly advises him to just go home and enjoy a nice, long vacation. He taps his chin, mentioning that the name Anren had literally never popped up on his radar until today's drama. Hopping out of his chair, the true boss of the school gets a twisted smile, deciding he needs to go meet this interesting newbie face to face. Later that afternoon, the crowd of kids pouring out of the main gates signals the end of the school day. Near the VIP parking lot, a driver waves his hand, trying to get the young master's attention. The fake student catches the wave and instantly recognizes the family chauffeur his boss warned him about. The driver sighs with massive relief, confessing he had to lie to the CEO last night, claiming the kid just crashed at a friend's house. Playing his part, the driver pops the back door open and invites the young master to hop in. Jin fixes his glasses, totally starstruck as he realizes he's about to ride in a disgustingly expensive luxury car. The high-end sedan glides smoothly through the massive city streets. Sinking into the ultra-plush leather seats, the vigilante crosses his legs and decides that playing the role of a millionaire is the best game ever. Suddenly, he pulls his phone out, remembering he almost forgot to drop his daily status report to the rich kid. Staring at his screen, the real Anran reads the text from his clone, saying the main bully got wiped and won't be a problem anymore. The vigilante drops a warning that there are definitely bigger bosses out there, but promises to solo them all. In the same chat, the fake student tells the prep kid to just keep his mouth shut around his dad during dinner and immediately bounce back to his room. He also tells him not to ask too many questions about the bruises if the old mechanic brings it up. The rich kid texts back that he already told him to just lie low in his room and heal. Ignoring the sass, the stand-in cuts the chat short, saying the fancy ride is already pulling up to the mansion. Lying on the busted mattress in the slums, the real student stares at his phone in total silence. The grim vibe of the messy room is a brutal reality check compared to his usual luxury life. Deep in his thoughts, he looks down, trying to process the absolute fever dream his life became in the last 24 hours. He's definitely missing his high-end mattress, but knows he's past the point of no return. Looking at the peeling walls, the kid feels genuinely bad about the sketchy conditions. It hits him hard knowing his supposed twin had to survive in this garbage environment, with basically nothing. But his deep, sad moment gets absolutely ruined when a mutant-sized bug lands right on his hand. Losing his absolute mind, the rich kid shrieks like a banshee and thrashes around the bed. He kicks the bug away in a blind panic, completely traumatized by the unwanted roomie. The racket echoes through the tiny house, grabbing the old mechanic's attention through the door. Worried about the crash, the adoptive dad knocks, asking what in the world just happened in there. Still shaking, the kid lies and says he just bumped his leg and that everything is chill. Relieved, the old man says he needs to step out for a bit, reminding him to eat the food he left on the table. As soon as the heavy boots fade away, the student lets out the longest sigh of his life. He slumps his shoulders, realizing he was one scream away from blowing the entire undercover operation. Calming down, he grabs the phone again and starts overthinking the vigilante's real identity. He analyzes the name Yan Sing, wondering what it actually means to be someone born from the ashes. The screen lights up, showing an old photo of the biker as a toddler sitting on the mechanic's shoulders. Staring at the pic, the rich kid is swamped with questions, completely lost on why the old man kept the kid a secret in the slums instead of just calling the cops back in the day.